attacks and all that. It's really good at taking known patterns and seeing your signatures and seeing what's happening in your environment. So that in the real world, you could use this for antivirus or in endpoint detection, matching, things like that. And it's really good for known matches. If you have a known signature or a known pattern that you want to track, you can feed that into an AI and it will be very good at pattern matching. But in some cases, you don't even know what pattern. You're getting attacked on something that hasn't even been, it's just came out like a 0-day attack. How do you guard yourself against something like that? You do anomaly detection. How does an AI do that? So it's going to flag deviations from a learned baseline of normal behavior. In other words, what it's going to do is take normal user behavior, right? The usual user endpoint behavior, and it's going to say, okay, this is my baseline. This is normally what happens. Normally, people start working. The majority of people start working from 7:30, and then they're out of there by 5. I know that the odd hours, the off duty hours, are after 7 p.m. Definitely not holidays or Saturdays and Sundays. Those are very. If somebody comes in, that's weird. If they're coming in at 3 a.m. signing in, that's weird. So it's gonna really focus in on weird, like things that are just strange. And because of that, it's gonna be really good at spotting unknown anomalies. Like once signature matching, think of this known. If you have a known pattern of behavior, it's gonna focus on those things. If you have an unknown pattern of behavior, you need to do anomaly detection. And then you've got pattern recognition. It's very good at this. Surface recurring structures and links across a large data set. So it's looking at the pattern of your entire data set. Maybe it's looking at configuration settings, or it's looking at traffic, or if it's looking at all kinds of things it can be looking at. It can do in the real world's clustering related alerts to reveal one coordinated campaign. That's one of the things it might do. So these three things are all categories under finding bad things. The next thing is software, securing software. It's very good at this too. So there's three different categories that are unmistakably different from one another. You got code quality, also known as linting. You've got vulnerability analysis, and you've got automated pen testing. What's the differences between the three? I'm gonna keep it high level and just focus on those things because those are the things that in the real world will come up, but also on for the purposes of the test, you'll be able to nail it immediately. So code quality, what is it doing? It's reviewing, looking for bugs, style, insecure patterns. It's not necessarily a vulnerability per se. It's like more somebody misconfigured something. So think of it as we need good code. It has to be structurally sound. It might be, is it a vulnerability? Perhaps if it's written poorly, but the code, when AI is just looking for those bad patterns that might be in there. So linting is what it's called. Me as a cybersecurity person, I wasn't familiar with that term, but that's what it means. It's linting is just looking at the code quality. Vulnerability analysis. Now, this is looking specifically for things that are in the wild, known vulnerabilities and unknown vulnerabilities, like vulnerabilities that just came out, also known as known exposure vulnerabilities or KEVs, 0-day exploits, things like that. These are things that these can be exploited by somebody writing a script or bypassing security features or something like that. Known vulnerabilities. So you have scanners for this. You have a scanner such as Sneak or Fortify, or there's all kinds of different vulnerability scanners that are going to look for those vulnerabilities inside of your code. And then you've got automated pen testing. So AI is good at this too. So what it'll do is find ways. No, this might not even be necessarily. You might have great code quality. You might have no known vulnerabilities, but it could be like the way you put it on the network. It could be you have an exposed IP address. So they're looking for things like that. They're looking for things like, okay, maybe they didn't integrate this into the cloud correctly. It's going to be looking at all kinds of paths and attack patterns that they can use to get in. So those are the three different types of things that you should know for the purposes of the real world and for the test is code quality, vulnerability analysis, and automated pen testing. Next one is what we started off with in the very beginning in domain one. We talked about what can AI be used for? And that's what we're talking about now, running a secure operating center or a security operations center. There's many different ways you can use it. I remember I did see this one on my test in some way, shape, or form. As a cybersecurity person, I was very familiar with these, so I know the differences. But what they're going to cover it possibly is incident management, threat modeling, and fraud detection. And you just need, if you know the difference between these, they're not going to trip you up on this. Incident management is where you're using it with AI can be used here is it's using it for assisted triage, meaning you're prioritizing different incidents that come. You might have 100 incidents, but maybe there's only 3 that are critical, and then there's 35 that are high, and then there's like the rest are low. So how triage just means that we're going to take the most important critical one. So AI is really good at this, right? If you label it properly. And things that do this well are things like a security copilot, things like SOAR products like swim lane. You can integrate it with that. And you can integrate this with tools that are existing. And this is what happens a lot in the real world. It's what's happening in real time right now, as a matter of fact. And so for this one, think triage, think coordinated response. You integrating it with incident management. And then next is threat modeling. How can you use AI in threat modeling? What is it doing? It's going to enumerate or list detailed list of attack surfaces, a detailed list of threats, a detailed list of cases. And maybe you can even map all of those together so that you can make it easier for your SOC team, your security operations center to very quickly go through this and do things like threat modeling using Stride, like we talked about the other week. And then lastly, you've got fraud detection. This is spotting fraudulent transactions or account behavior in real time. It's really good. AI is really good at this. Case in point, you've got things like Shopify that have built in machine learning scoring that will indicate, okay, this person is a high risk. Do you want to take their payment? And these are really good if you configure them right. It's only as good as the data you put in though. So it's only as good as the data that you actually have to allow that machine to learn properly. Those are the 3 different areas where AI is going to help your SOC. And then lastly, we have a great use for this, which is turning text to intelligence. So this is very quickly, one is translation, where it's going to be able to translate any language you have. You can go to the dark web and translate Cyrillic Russian language and look at Chinese and be able to interpret what it's saying and find more threats because it can quickly in seconds translate any language so that you now know and be able to interpret the threats that are coming your way using the dark if you're on the dark web or on the internet or whatever. And then the other one is summarization. This is like one of the ones that you see everywhere. You see this summarization you can see in any tool that is using AI because it can take a 50-page document and condense it into 50 bullets. And that's super useful. So these are all the ways that you see AI being used. Now they cite 11 here, and I'll give it credit here that I've only focused on the main ones here, which is the difference between matching and anomaly detection, code quality versus vulnerability analysis versus pen testing, and incident management, threat modeling, fraud detection. If you know the differences between these, when they come up on the test, you'll be able to very quickly say, okay, yeah, I know what they're talking about here. Because they'll give you different scenarios for each one of these to see if you understand where AI has been used, why it's been used, and how it's being used. And that's pretty much it for this one, guys. It's going to be a lot of scenarios. Haven't taken the test, it'll be scenarios that they're testing whether or not you actually know the stuff. And that's really where it's going to focus on. Next week, what we're going to talk about is the next part of this. We're going to be staying on domain 3 for some time because domain 3 is actually is 24% of the test. So we already covered like the biggest part, which 40% of the test, the actual security controls that go on the system. But this one actually is quite a bit. I'm just remembering everything. I'm like, damn, this one was on the test quite a bit. All right, let me just go ahead and bring up some comments here. Thank you guys for joining. I really appreciate it. Let me see here. Got my man, Professor Black Ops. How you doing, man? Thank you for joining. Professor Black Ops actually took the test. Security expert actually took the test. And yeah, shout out to you guys because I've been following you guys' journey as well. So thanks a lot for your insight into that. I know that after taking the test, Professor Black Ops said it's about a 4 or a 5 or something. And then I wouldn't say it was more like a 6. It wasn't a super easy test. I could see it. It was a really good balance between the common body of knowledge information and the technical side. They lean towards with the scenarios, lean towards the technical aspects of it. So it's not, I wouldn't call it an easy test, especially if you're new to this. So definitely gonna needs to do some studying. And security expert says for anyone doing the exam, make sure y'all know the difference between signature matching and pattern matching. Yeah. I would say what came up for me was signature matching versus anomaly detection. That one. Something like that, like a scenario that was based off of that. Yeah, for sure. And then my man Larry, hey Larry, he says, are there any other certifications that you have come across that currently rival a SecAI plus? Could this be could this become a DoD 8500 AIT level 1 cert federal AI position? I imagine they've been pretty good about getting those things on 8570. I imagine it's going to get on there pretty soon. Yeah, it's so new. It's not there yet, but I don't think. But yeah, I can totally see it because the way they cover things is really textbook. It's like they really hit everything. They're vendor neutral. I could definitely see this being a part of 8570. That said, let me see if it's on there. I can check real quick. Let me see if because they change it pretty frequently. 8570 certification. The last couple times I checked it, they always add or subtract things. So I'm only seeing the old ones aren't here right now. Let me see here. Let me show you guys my screen, show you guys what I'm looking at here. Now, I could be looking at the wrong thing here. I know this one looks pretty old right here. Or is it? 8570. But yeah, to answer your question, I could see it being on 8570 is either a level 1 or a level 2. Yeah, especially since they're adopting AI pretty fast. The federal government is. And for those who don't know, 8570 is it's like a list of approved baseline certifications. And what happens is they become very important because all the contractors who are bidding on these contracts or something for IT jobs, the government expects you to have some of these. This or the equivalent would be like some kind of degree or experience. It's a combination of those or some combination or iteration of either enough experience, a degree, or certification, some kind of combination of those things. And so this is like a quick way to get your